Hello, happy campers. It's Mrs. Davis here, camping out in my living room. Yeah, I had to bring the great outdoors indoors because it's still raining. But I did not want to miss out on this very special camping day number 4 with you because we've got our tent set up, we've got our campfire going, and it's time to enjoy a really good story. It is a tradition for campers to sit around the campfire at night and tell stories. Sometimes they tell spooky stories. Have you ever done that with your family? It's really fun. Today I brought along some of my really great books that I like to read at the end of the school year. I'm going to read the titles to you, and then I'm going to select one story to read today. Now, I also brought along my lantern and my compass. All campers need to know what direction they're headed in, so I've got mine. I've got my fire going. I've got my flashlight in case I need to spy things in the darkness. And I have a special something that I'm going to show you at the end of our story time. It's a creature or part of a creature that you might run into when you're camping. I'll save that for last. Now let me share with you some of my favorite books to read at the end of the year. Well, this one, this Dr. Seuss book, it's a little mini book. I thought it would be good because it says, "What was I scared of?" And you know, sometimes when you're camping, you hear strange noises, or you've told those spooky stories and you might get afraid out in the woods. So this might be a good one for us to read today. I also brought along this story called The Baseball Star. I always read this at the end of the school year because summer and baseball go together. So maybe we should read this one. Let me think on it. Oh, this one's a fun one. It's called the Sand Castle Contest. You know what? As the summer gets started, some of you might get to head to the beach and maybe you'll build a sand castle. So this might be a good story to read around the campfire. Oh, you know I love Max and Maggie. And they're doing some summer fun together. I love these characters. Or maybe this might be a good one. This is actually a camping story. It's called Monk Camps Out. It's about a little mouse that wants to go out camping in his front yard. His parents are just a little nervous about that. That might be a good story. Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. This one is definitely the most perfect camp out story of all. It's called Lights Out. Yeah, these campers are camping, and every time the lights go out, they see something creepy or hear something creepy or feel like there's something creepy in the room. Definitely, this one combines camping and creepy. We should read this one. All right, get your flashlights, cozy up around the fire with me, and let's enjoy a good book on camping day number 4. It's called Lights Out. I like this very first page. They're having a pillow fight. That's fun to do when you're camping out. Here we go. The Camp Badger Scouts were zipped up in their sleeping bags in the dark cabin. "Lights out," said Counselor Jim. "It's time to sleep." Out went the lights. "Lights on!" shouted Michael. On went the lights. "What's the matter?" asked Counselor Jim. "There's a lion outside the cabin. It's waiting until we're asleep, and then it will leap through the window and eat us, starting with the biggest and saving the smallest for dessert." "Is that true?" asked Joseph. course not, said Counselor Jim. Lions live 8,000 miles from here. Lights out. Out went the lights. Counselor Jim went to his room in the cabin. The wind whispered through the trees. Creak went the floor. Lights on! Screamed Alex. On went the lights. What's wrong? Asked Counselor Jim. There's something under the floor. It comes awake in the dark. Oh boy, can you see that? Then it bursts through the floor and drags sleeping scouts down into its hole, where it makes gross and disgusting noises until they feel sick. Sounds scary. Let's see what Counselor Jim has to say about that. There's no such thing, said Counselor Jim. Besides, I have never met anyone who can make grosser noises than the kids at Camp Badger. Lights out. Out went the lights. The crickets chirped in the cool night air. The moon shone through the window. Lights on! Cried Raymond. On with the lights. Now what? Asked Counselor Jim. There's an eyeball on the ceiling, Raymond hollered. I saw it too, shouted William. It's hypnotizing us, cried Raymond. We can't move, screamed William. Oh boy, that would be creepy to think there was a giant eyeball on the ceiling. Let's see what happens next. It's just the reflection of the moon, said Counselor Jim. Now lights out, for real. Out went the lights. Counselor Jim went to his room. All was quiet. Michael's stomach rumbled. Lights on, shrieked Josh. Counselor Jim ran out of his room. On went the lights. Michael is turning into a wolf. I knew he was a monster. I knew it, said Josh. He does have hairy eyebrows, said Joseph. Can you imagine? Wonder what Counselor Jim's going to do about this situation. My stomach growled. I'm hungry, said Michael. People do not turn into wolves, said Counselor Jim. Now please try and go to sleep. Out went the lights. Out went Counselor Jim. In came a mosquito. Now that can be truly annoying when you're trying to sleep. It buzzed around the room. Do you hear that? Asked Joseph. While we're asleep, the mosquitoes will come in and drink all the fluids from our bodies. Oh no. Look at there. One of them turned into a giant mosquito. That would not be good. Lights on! Shouted Raymond. In came Counselor Jim. He turned on the lights. He was holding 6 flashlights. That's a great idea. Here, he said, use these if you need to, but only if you need to. He handed everyone a flashlight. He turned out the lights and went to his room. On went all the flashlights. I'm thirsty, said Michael. I think that mosquito drank all the fluids from my body. Let's get a drink, said Josh. Uh-oh. Now they're going to leave the cabin. This could be dangerous. It's dark out there. At least they got their flashlights and some fireflies to guide their way. The 6 Badger Scouts left the cabin and went to the mess hall. Do you know what a mess hall is? Well, if you go on a real camping trip with friends and you stay in a cabin, you have to eat. The mess hall is the place you go eat your meals. It's really fun. They say camp food is disgusting. Uh-oh, they're inside the mess hall. Let's see what happens. They turned on the lights. Someone's coming, said Michael. Turn out the lights and hide under the table. In came Counselor Jim. He saw the light from the 6 flashlights coming out from under the table. What are you doing here? He asked. The mosquitoes drank all the fluids from our bodies. We're getting a drink, said Joseph. They each got a glass of water and marched back to the cabin. Back they go. Now, for the very last time, lights out and flashlights off, Counselor Jim said. Out with the lights. Off went the flashlights. Out went Counselor Jim. Uh-oh, said Raymond. What? Said Michael. I have to go to the bathroom. Will you walk with me outside to the outhouse? I have to use the outhouse too, said Joseph. Me too, said Josh. Everyone put their flashlights out and left the cabin. A scary bat flew over their heads. Ooh, oh boy, that's not good. Vampires, vampires, shouted Raymond. Vampires, vampires, shrieked the scouts. Counselor Jim jumped up out of bed. He looked out his window. Now what? He thought. Probably thought, those crazy kids. Where are you going? He asked the scouts. We have to use the outhouse, said William. But it's surrounded by vampires. Boy, sometimes in the dark your imagination can go crazy. They're just little brown bats, said Counselor Jim. They only eat those mosquitoes that drank all your fluids. I like how he always tries to help them work through their fears with things that are really true. Everyone took turns using the outhouse. Then they went back to the cabin. Okay, said Counselor Jim, before I put out the lights, are there any lions outside the window? No, said Michael. Are there any monsters under the floor? No, said Alex. Just trying to help them work through those fears. Is there an eyeball on the ceiling? No, said Raymond and William. Is Michael going to turn into a wolf? No, said Josh. Are the mosquitoes going to drink all the fluids from your bodies? No, said Joseph. Is anyone thirsty? No, said the scouts. Going through that whole list. Surely by now. Are there vampires outside? No, said the scouts. Does anyone have to use the outhouse? No, said the scouts. Then for the very, very, very last time, lights out, said Counselor Jim. Out with the lights. Counselor Jim, shouted the scouts. Oh no, wonder what it is now. Could be anything. On with the lights. What? What? Shouted Counselor Jim. Good night, said the scouts. Good night, said Counselor Jim. I'm going to bed now. And out went the lights. Wonder what's going to happen next. What do you think's going to happen? Do you think they're going to want the lights to come back on? This is the very last page. Ah, I love this ending. There are no words on this page. However, the pictures tell the story. Look at Counselor Jim. Look at all the creepy things that are in his room. Oh no, I wonder if he's going to holler, lights on, and all the the scouts will come running in to rescue him. That could be a next page. Oh, I love that story. It is so fun to have a campfire and tell stories around the campfire. Wow. Well, this has really been a good little camping session for us. Okay, campers, we again will meet around the campfire tomorrow for another great story. We're also going to go fishing. Oh, wait a minute. I have one last thing to show you. You know how I collect dead bugs? I also collect creepy other things. And I have here with me, from my collection of creepy things. Can you guess what it is? I'm going to get just a little bit closer so you can see this up close. Yeah. It's a snake skin. You got it. So, I was outside walking around, you know, how I always like to look down. One day I was walking through a grassy area, and I noticed this shedded snake skin. Yeah, this is a real snake skin, and this is something that snakes do. They shed their skin and leave it behind, and this was a really long snake. I'm glad I really didn't run into the snake and only ran into the skin. And you know, when you're camping, you might run into a snake, so watch out, be careful. Okay, boys and girls, I will bring back my collection of books again tomorrow, and we will read another one around the campfire. All right, as always, until our next camping adventure and story, have a good one.